Today we are joined with Trio Educational Talent Search and Upward Bound with their learner group leader Tyran, and they will be seeing the exhibit The Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Mathematics of Hip Hop Music, led by Craig Arthur, along with his other exhibitors, Portia, Jasmine, and DeRay. So with that being said, I'm going to hand the floor over to them and allow them to present.
My name is Craig Arthur. I'm the head of community engagement for Virginia Tech University Libraries. I'm also a DJ. I've been DJing since 1997. And with me, I've got a few Virginia Tech students, one recent graduate as well. So we've got LaPortia, AKA Mama P. She is gonna be doing the bulk of the presenting today. She just recently graduated with a master's in science and forestry and is now working for a nonprofit in the DC area. We have Jasmine. Jasmine is a junior in sociology and Africana studies. And she's gonna be helping out with the presentation. And then we also have DeRay. DeRay is a junior in marketing, and he is also an MC.
So today we're going to talk to you about hip hop, math, and science, and how they all work together. Okay, so first thing I want to get into is the beats. You know, we're always listening for that really good beat, and what makes a beat, what gives it its wholeness. So the rhythm or beat for every song starts with a repetitious pattern, and these patterns together make the beat. And most traditionally in modern music, all of the music has a time signature of 4/4, which means in every single measure of music, 4 beats can happen. And for a whole music note to occur, there are 4 beat measures. So for instance, if you are to clap, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then rap in accordance with that. Another way to keep the same time or count your beat measures is to use a small device, often on recording software is installed, but back in the day when they, used to do music on live instruments, they would use this small instrument called a metronome, and it keeps time in sort of a clicking notion, or your beats per minute for each song. So to give an example of how beats and measures work, in Nas's song, The World Is Yours, beats per minute or counted towards the metronome is 47 beats per minute, almost 48. And the amount of measures is 22. So if 4 beat measures can fit into a single measure, 22 times 4 is about 88, give or take time for your heartbeat to take it. So the time signature is 4/4, since you can multiply by 4. So next, I'm going to talk about how the raps are in poetry use ways to express time, numbers, traditional education information, and science information. So for instance, numbers are used in artist names like Andre 3000 in the beat counts that they keep. Like for instance, when you think of dance and you think of an 8 count, that's how you keep rhythm. Music equipment like 808s or 303s or 404s. People throw out their age in music, stretches of time, years, eons, percentages and fractions, quarter or half, if anybody listens to OJ the Juice Man. And then even phone numbers can be used. So a great example that I thought of right off my head is a song that speaks to mathematics but brings up science by Yassine Bey, formerly known as Mos Def. And he says, 9 planets faithfully kept in orbit, with the probable 10th, the universe expands length. The body of my text poses extra strength. Powerlifting powerless up out of this towering inferno. So what he does here is compare his lyrics about the way that America is perceived to him, and also his knowledge of the planets as we exist and where we are in a state of being, which is interesting how science, music, and numbers all continue to play on where we are in life.
So I'll say, like, what I'm seeing, like, as Portia brought up with the 4 beats per measure, I think it's something definitely like that a lot of MCs and rappers consider, especially like when you're trying to catch the flow of the beat. But one thing, like, I would say, like, personally for me, is that, like, I know I've came across a lot of people where they'll be writing a song and they'll try to, like, and they'll do the 4 beats per measure, where they'll do like 1, 2, 3, 4, and they try to hop on the beat perfectly. But I feel like depending on your flow or whatever you decide to do, you can either, you know, stick like to being exactly on the beat, or you can kind of do that little flow that Jay-Z or Nas did back in the day where they'll rap and they'll kind of speed it up and then bring it back to like the flow of the beat. It really all depends on what you want to do or what you want to accomplish as well.
When you're writing a verse, right, you got to know the speed of the beat, right? So that's called the tempo or the beats per minute, right? And you also got to decide, like, all right, so with my flow, right, am I going to do it, am I going to hit right on the beat and kind of do like just regular ride along with the tempo of the beats per minute? Or am I going to, what you were saying, like double time, right? Check. All right, so hopefully in about 5-7 seconds, you'll hear me. I want to make sure whenever I'm DJing, right, and I'm mixing songs together, I'm playing, you know, moving back and forth between songs, you always want to drop it on the 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first beat of a bar, first beat of a measure. Otherwise, it will sound kind of off and not sound right. And it's one of those things that you don't have to even. All right, so what I'm going to show you real quick is just some basic scratches. And scratching was actually invented by somebody that was probably about y'all's age. So there's this guy back in the late 70s. His name was DJ Grand Wizard Theodore, which is kind of crazy DJ name. But he was about 15 years old. And what he was doing, he was practicing DJing. He was like a protege of another legendary DJ, Grandmaster Flash. And he was practicing in his headphones and just moving records back and forth and back and forth. And he noticed, you know, if I move one sound back and forth in a rhythmic fashion, it sounds kind of cool, right? So here's the sound I'm going to use. It's just that, I think that's the game or somebody saying, right? All right. So what I want to do is I want to make it my own. So instead of just sawing, I want to kind of put my own funk on it, right? So the basic.
So are any of you guys a music major, or do they have a music major at Virginia Tech?
Yeah, so Virginia Tech actually has, there's definitely a music program that's more geared towards, like, I guess you would call it like traditional or like classical sort of music, you know? But Tech also has a really cool program where it's, and I think DeRay can probably speak to it better than I can. And our last technical director for the program was involved in it, whereas creative technologies in music. So that's all about recording music and producing music electronically, that sort of thing. So yeah, so there's definitely all sorts of opportunities both at Tech and at other schools too, where if you're interested in music, you can study it. And it doesn't have to be, you know, for instance, like playing guitar or piano, you know, it could be more technological, technology-based applications of music. So we got another question. Have you made any music? And I'm gonna let Portia and DeRay answer this one.
So yeah, so through our program, which is so wonderful, I last year released my first EP, but I've been singing since I was about 5 or 6, and then I've been rapping since I was about 14 or 15. And our program just really fosters that sense of community that you need to really like push yourself outside of the bounds. Like in terms of musical education, I don't have a formal musical education. I was only like trained in singing and reading music a little bit when I was younger. But through our program, there's a lot to learn in terms of equipment, in terms of sound, in terms of creating your own sound. And a lot of creating your own music is honestly being your own student of the art and just really tapping into this, finding those sounds that you like and finding those grooves that really stick with you, and just putting yourself and your stories in that place and then bringing them all together. So yes, I have made music through the program and also outside of the program.
I made music through the program as well, but I've actually been I've been rapping since I was 7 years old. And then throughout high school, I actually took a guitar class in high school. Even though I don't play it anymore, but I did choir for most of my high school years, and I also was in a singing club, and we won like a singing competition over at Busch Gardens. So I do a little bit of singing as well. And my senior year of high school, I actually was able to get a certificate in audio engineering. So making music through the program has been great. I actually made my first mixtape through the Digging in the Crates program. We did some work during studio hours, and then we also did some work in the studio library with one of the tech alumni. He's not here today, but he was one of our technical directors. David, he mixed and mastered it, and we got to have a listening party for it. And I currently have something that is supposed to come out in January, and we want to do some pretty big things with it. But yeah, making, like she said, touching on what Portia said, making your own music is really about like finding your own sound, your own style, figuring out like, what do you like about your favorite artists' flows or the stories that they tell, and try to implement your own thing into it. And eventually like finding your own flow is like one of the best feelings ever.
Do we have concerts? We sometimes have performances, it's right now it's kind of tough just because, this pandemic stuff we're dealing with, but we do, Jasmine's right, we do DJ mixes on our Instagram account every Thursday. So we have one more question, is where can we find your music? So I guess I'll ask DeRay and Portia if they feel comfortable sharing.
It's on iTunes, Spotify. I don't know that it's necessarily on YouTube, but if you type in Earth, E.A.R.T.H, it stands for Emotions Are Rare to Hear.
Same thing as Portia said, my music, I have like a few singles that's everywhere, but most of my primary music was on SoundCloud. So, because at one point I was an aspiring SoundCloud rapper.
Thank you all for showing up and for sharing your music with us, and our learner group for showing up and sharing your passion and interest with us. It's been a really great session.